In this video, we're going to look at a few different types of EQ plugins that are available in Pro Tools. Let's check it out. So here I have a session and I have a guitar track soloed. Let's take a listen to it without any EQ on it at all. It's the guitar part. Now there are some other instruments in that track because this was recorded in a live session, and so you're hearing some bleed, but that's okay. When you add the other instruments back in, it's actually a good thing. But let's look at this EQ plugin. I have EQ3 7-band. This is the stock EQ plugin in Pro Tools, and it is what we call a parametric EQ. It has 5 different bands of frequencies or groups of frequencies at the bottom. It has a high-pass filter and a low-pass filter in this section, and it has input and output controls at the top, along with a couple of meters. Each one of these main frequency bands has a gain control, so I can boost certain frequencies, or I can lower the volume and cut certain frequencies. I can also adjust the center frequency that this boost and cut is around, and I can adjust the slope of the frequency, also called the Q factor. So I can use this parametric EQ to sculpt the sound and timbre of this guitar. Let's listen. If I want to bring out the sparkly highs of the guitar, I can increase this high end. If I want to take out some of the boominess, especially some of the drum bleed, I will turn my high pass filter on by pressing the in button, move this frequency knob up, and I would actually crank up this Q2 to make a steeper slope. And there we go. So you can see that this parametric EQ gives you a lot of control over the frequency spectrum of the sound. You can also adjust the frequencies by moving the dots on the screen directly. If I take off this filter, I can show you the low frequency and high frequency bands have a special shape available called shelf. If I raise the low frequency up, you can see that all the frequencies from this main frequency back are raised, or I can cut them all. This is called a shelving EQ or an EQ shelf because it looks like a shelf. I'm going to bypass that EQ and show you a different kind of EQ. This is a graphic equalizer, and the way this works is that there are fixed sliders. So each one has the frequency listed at the bottom. So for instance, this slider is for 160 Hertz. This slider is for 2K or 2 kilohertz. This side of the frequency spectrum are the higher pitches, and this side are the lower pitches, sort of like a piano. You can't adjust the frequencies of these sliders. You also can't adjust the slope or Q of each frequency band. The only thing you can do is boost or cut. So the graphic EQ is a little more limited in its feature set, but it's still effective at sculpting the tone of a track. Let's listen. I'm going to cut that low end rumble out. And then I'm going to raise the high end up. It's like a totally different sound. Now I'm going to bypass that plugin and show you one last type of EQ in this video. This is a semi-parametric EQ. It's called solid EQ. And here you have similar controls, just in a slightly different format. There's no graph showing you frequencies. You just have to use your ears. We have low frequencies, low mid frequencies, high mid frequencies, and high frequencies. And you can boost or cut each frequency band. Now for the low and high frequencies, you can adjust the center frequency that it considers low or high. For the low mid and high mid, you can adjust the center frequency and you can adjust the Q, making it narrower or wider. There are two filters on either side. There is the high pass filter, and you can adjust the frequency on that, and the low pass filter, and you can adjust the frequency on that. Let's hear how this affects the sound. All the low frequencies have been cut out and only the high are passing. Now I'm really restricting the frequency range of the guitar. I can raise those high mids, make it very broad. So all of these types of EQ are useful tools for sculpting your sound.